pumpkin carving night. Dylan's doing a non-traditional. Instead of the top, we're cutting from the bottom. Why are we doing that?
Because, here, can you go to the other side?
Uh-huh.
So, the stem is meant to be like the nose on it.
Okay.
And then the eyes will go up here, and then there's going to be like a mouth down here.
Okay, very cool. And Miss Layla, what are we doing?
I'm doing crossed eyes with like a silly mouth.
Ooh, nice. Is it going to be spooky or silly?
Spooky and silly.
Spooky and silly. Dylan, is yours going to be spooky or silly?
Both.
Both.
Actually, mine is gonna be the scary.
All right, we have a spooky and silly pumpkin theme. I haven't gotten mine yet. I'm going to try something different this year. Time to carve my pumpkin. I'm going to try something a little different this year. Instead of howling it out like normal and carving a face, holes into it, I'm going to try to carve a wood spirit in my pumpkin. Normally I would try carving this in a piece of wood or a piece of bark, but this year I'm going to try it in a pumpkin. This could be a horrible failure, and if so, it might not ever make a video, but if it works out well, it'd be super cool. So we're going to try it. I've got my carving set up over here. This is what I normally use for carving wood. I've got all different types of blades and knives in here for carving certain things. This is kind of a gouge right here. So this is what I normally would use to like gouge out, hollow out bowls and things or do some carvings. But we're gonna try it on a pumpkin today. It should be super soft and easy to do.
Are you sure?
Yep. All right, so let's, all right, if I need to turn it, I'll tell you. All right, so this is gonna be my face, and I'm thinking somewhere around here is gonna be his brow line. So I will, sorry if I sound weird, I've been fighting a head cold for a few days. I'm just gonna start kind of wedging in kind of a line to be his brow line. Just kind of pressing in, wiggling a little bit, trying to make it somewhat equal in length. So now I've got that line kind of established. I'm just going to come up underneath and just kind of peel away some of the pumpkin up to that line, trying not to push through because it's super soft. I want to go fairly deep so that I can get a good shadow. And we'll see where it goes from there. So far now I've kind of got this kind of brow line put in. I might even go a little bit bigger with it, kind of less of a curve, and just try to hollow that out a little bit more. Come down a little bit more with it. And that should give us our brow line. All right. Let's even that out a little bit. Okay. So from here, what I'm gonna do is try to imagine like a center line, and then I wanna know where's his nose gonna be. So I'm gonna put his nose roughly here. So I follow my center line, I kinda wedge in a little bit like that. I'm gonna make it a little larger. You can always take more pumpkin off, but you can't add more pumpkin back, so I'm going to Gonna give him a nose there. That's gonna be the base of his nose, and then same thing as the brow line, just kind of come up from the bottom till you reach your line. And kind of get that material off. You should be able to kind of flick it away there. It's a little easier with wood. Well, it's a little more brittle, but we'll see. I don't know if this pumpkin's going to be stringy or not, but essentially we want to make the bottom of his nose. All right, so this is the bottom of our nose. This is our brow line. We want to basically come from the bottom, middle of the nose up. And you can kind of picture, here's the center line. We want to come up kind of like that. Like that. So that's going to kind of be the line we want to take. For that, I'm going to use kind of a different style of knife. And we're just going to kind of trace down to that line. And then trace down to that edge. And then come back in on an angle and kind of just cut out a little bit of a groove in here. Going back down that center line. This is really soft, so it's hard to kind of know where I'm at with things, but this would be a good place for a V-tool actually, but I don't have one large enough for this. All right, so now we've kind of got that established there. We're going to come back this side and kind of carve down, just kind of defining that nose as we go down. Doesn't matter if you kind of hack that a little bit because all this material is going to come off anyway. So, but it's basically just trying to define the edges of your nose a little bit better. All right, so now what we want to do is kind of define this nose a little bit better. Need to put some nostrils in. So I've got this kind of curved gouge. This might be not enough of a curve, but it might be all right. So we're gonna just come in here and kind of chip away a little bit and kind of round that and kind of make that nostril there. So now you're starting to see kind of the curve. We'll come up here, kind of define those nostrils a little bit more, kind of round those out a bit. So now we're kind of getting more of a shape around it, right? So you've got the nostril coming down, and we can kind of curve around this edge a little bit there, and that edge there a little bit. Now we're starting to get more of a nose. So we're going to switch back to our wide gouge, and we're just going to clear out some of this material now. These knives are super sharp. I don't want to get too deep. But basically, I'll come here and start pulling away some material. Brow line. Let's just kind of thin that out, level that out a bit more. So now we've got our kind of our face taking shape here. So what we want to do now is kind of define our eyes a little bit. If you put your eyes like right here, Oh, I lost my pencil lead. So if you put the eyes right there, that's kind of the corner of the eye. So kind of what we want to do is kind of make almost like an almond shape. Kind of like that. So now try to mirror that on the other side. And that kind of gives it a little bit more definition. I do think we went too low though here. So it kind of, I don't know that I like that because the brows are going to be up here, the eyebrows, and it makes it a little too low. So I'm just going to take this, clear that out, almost erase it. Just take a little more material off. Now we've got kind of a start over here. So what I want to do is find there and there as the edges of our eyes. And kind of make them a little bit. So Wood Spirit is, he's an old man. He's been around. They're spirits of the woods essentially. They look, you carve them into trees and things. This guy's eyes a little messed up. Try to bring that up a bit. Okay. So they're always old men, long beards, stuff like that. So we're gonna make him kind of sad looking. We've got his eyes kind of drooped down a little bit. So how do we get his eyeballs in? So let's worry about that later. So basically we need to come in here and kind of wedge up to this line. So we're going to trace our line with this tool here, with the wedge or the gouge. We got to define our eye a bit. And then we're going to come up underneath just like the other ones and just kind of give it some definition, being very careful in here because this is super soft. Not to go too deep and not to break up through the eye because then we're in trouble. Just gonna take this other knife, kind of carve away at that a little bit. And the more you carve at it, you gotta kind of be definitive with your cuts because pumpkin's kind of stringy. And it's not very forgiving with certain things. So I'm just come up here and kind of wedge that away. I'm trying to get rid of this material. Go. Try our pencil here. And define that a little bit more. So we got an eye now. So now I want to define, let me wedge a little bit more away here. Okay, so now we're going to do the same on this eye, trying to match the other one the best we can, but I'm by no means a professional here. I'm trying to figure this out as I go. So now we need to figure out, kind of define some eyeballs a little bit more. So I'm kind of looking over to the right. a bit. So we're just going to kind of drill in with our pencil here. A bit of an eyeball. And then try to carve a bit of a circle around it with our kind of bowl gouge here. Being very careful not to dig too deep. Round you out a bit more, some more finer detail in the eye, the eyeball. So I guess the whole thing's the eyeball, but this is more of the pupil. All right. So we've got kind of our eyeballs defined a little bit. Got one kind of like an arrow, one like an arrow, so he's kind of looks like he's kind of looking down and over to the right a bit. So now we want to kind of define the brow a bit. So I'm going to try to use this gouge because I want kind of a rounded look without going through and stabbing my arm. And just use kind of a short stabbing motion. Kind of define that forehead a bit. And now we want to kind of make a V, kind of notch out. Follow kind of the lines of the nose a little bit. Kind of a big V cut. In here, and we'll take our gouge and kind of round that out just a little bit. And you'll kind of start to see the makings of eyebrows here. Try to match that. Let's on the other side. I think that matches. It's fine. Do as close as you can. That. All right, so this side doesn't look bad. This side's a little worse for wear, so I want to kind of dig a little bit deeper in here, create more of like a shadow underneath to kind of give that a little bit more definition. And I just want to like kind of dig in a bit and then kind of dig back in upside down, kind of creating a little groove in here. Kind of define a bit of an eyelid to see kind of that, how that kind of starts forming a bit of a shadow, and it just kind of makes your eye believe there's an eyelid there. We're going to do the same on the other side. I want this deeper. Trying to use safety because these knives are very sharp. I'm not putting my arm in way of them if they were to slip out and cut you. Removing some material now, rounding it up a bit, kind of going in and pulling up a bit, trying to round this out. bit more. So that's a little too much material there, so we're just going to kind of thin that out around the eye, give it a little more definition. So I almost cut my eyebrow off there because I'm pushing too hard. We want to give a little more room for the nose. So now we want to kind of define kind of the mustache a little bit. So we're going to come from the center of his nose. I'm going to use this pumpkin carver tool for my kids' carving. And kind of outline big mustache. All these guys got big beards and giant mustaches. All right, let's carve that in. So we'll take our straight knife and just kind of define a pretty deep line, kind of where we scored along. You can use them, you don't have to use a scorer for that either. You could use a marker or a pen, or you can just freehand it, to be honest. It's all how up to you, you know, how you want it to look. And we're just gonna kind of carve a deep cut. All the way down to the end. And now it's just a matter of coming back in with our wide gouge here and kind of defining that line a bit. This pumpkin's fairly soft, so I get if you don't have gouges and things, maybe a sharp spoon. It might be a little more difficult to push through, but if you get this kind of outer edge off, the inner stuff is a little softer, so you can even kind of scrape at it with the edge of a teaspoon or something, and that would kind of be okay. So we've got our brows, we've got our eyes, we've got our nose established, the beginnings of the mustache. All this is going to have to be worked on, and just refined down to give a little more detail. But we kind of have the startings of our face. We're going to kind of bring a beard down, you know, and have kind of a beard going to the, kind of just fading into the pumpkin type of thing. But we'll just keep kind of chugging away. We'll eventually kind of give this some more definition. I'm trying to keep the outer skin the best I can because it's the only color difference in it, you know, and I can't really paint this after because it's a slimy pumpkin, but we'll see what I can do. I want to define this nose a bit more. I'd like to define some kind of cheeks a little bit. So, like defining a little bit more cheekbone type of material. Not thrilled with this guy so far, but he's very kind of early stage, so we'll see how much more we can kind of define, but this is kind of the basics of him so far. All right, so we're back. I took a lunch break and came back and started just kind of detailing what I could from him, and just got kind of lost in time and did a lot, but this is kind of where he's turned into. It's not, there you go. It's not the best work I've done, but basically tried to slim out his face, got his nose a little more defined. I'm not happy with this at all. I'm gonna try to smooth that out a bit. Gave him kind of sunken cheeks. His eyes aren't the best, but I got eyebrows in. His mustache, I started to give him a beard and a bit more of a mouth area, and kind of gave him more of a sunken look. Normally I'll paint this to, if it was wood, to like define certain areas, but I can't paint wet pumpkin. So I've got the idea that I'm going to take the blowtorch and try to kind of burn, caramelize certain areas, and maybe that'll give some definition and stuff. I'm going to try it on a little side piece here and see how that works. So that might be something, but I'm going to detail this a little bit more, and then try to burn in some spots. Maybe work on this nose, these eyes a little bit more. The eyes are horrible. And we'll see where it goes from there. So I started burning this a little bit. It's kind of cool. I got a little worried as I started burning this that pumpkin started getting hot. So I went in the back and kind of cut a hole. I got worried that it would start heating the interior too much and it would like pop. I didn't want to have an exploding pumpkin, so I cut like a steam hole in the back. But basically, this is kind of cool. It's not doing much on the other regular carved part, but the skin part I can kind of like burn some blackness in. Gives it some definition for sure. It's kind of cool. Kind of chars it, gives it a little extra color. Just hoping I don't superheat the pumpkin and it gets hot inside and winds up cracking or splitting or something, but maybe I'll do it in little sections so that it doesn't get too hot. But this is super cool, man. I could just like, it's like caramelizing it and like darkening it. So I can go in these like little ridges and burn the detail in. This is cool. All right, well, we'll call that burned. So now I think I want to clean up the eyes a little bit more. So the pupils are fine, but I want to do the kind of this outer eyeball. That should be more white, right? But that gave it some definition for sure. He's looking like an old man now. He's got his old beard and he looks good. Brighten him up. So if it's all nice and dark around the eye, but we scrape it away, it would almost define it a little bit more, right? Yeah, there we go. That's starting to look a little better now. Just want to bring these ridges down a little bit. I'm still keeping them somewhat round. It's that scraping technique I was talking about, just kind of defining it a little bit more. wrinkles a bit more. Just gentle, gentle sweeping cuts. Leg hit the tripod, sorry about that. That's a little bit better. He's got too much meat up here now. So I mean, it's Halloween pumpkin, so it's how much, you know, effort you want to put into this. It's not going to last long. And because you're not putting any holes in it, you're not really going to be able to light it. So it's not like anyone at night's going to see it. It's mainly for you. Going in?
Yeah, I'm showing Dylan something I made.
Oh, okay. That looks a little bit better. A little thinner. Just gonna thin out the nose, give him a nose job a little bit. Be careful not to take too much off. You don't want the point of Michael Jackson or something. Now I want to curve, I think, back a little bit. Kind of define the that a little bit more. There we go. Still gonna give him like a big kind of ridge up at the top, make it look more like his nose was broke at some point. He's an old man. So kind of giving him a little bit more definition there. Cleaned up his eyes a little bit. Gonna take some of this char off a little bit. What are you gonna do? What I'm gonna do is keep working at him till I don't have any eyes left, probably, because I'm not satisfied with it. But it's a little better. I think they're just too bulgy. I want to define them, but I also don't want them looking like they're popping out of his head. He looks like a crazy old man now, which is cool, I guess. All right, so I'm going to try to shape his face in a little bit more and make it look like he's coming out more. And then that will be it.